Hello there everyone, it's Carol here. This is my Rock Your Journal, the first one. I didn't get the chance to show you how I did my butterflies, my flying butterflies page. So I'm not going to do a flip through now because it's not completed yet. There are still a couple of pages to do. And as I said previously, some of them are private. If you haven't seen the Rock Your Journal videos, there is a playlist with them all on, and it's a prompt a day for 28 days. This was my front cover, which again you haven't seen, so I said that I was going to utilize this big button, which I added on the front and then added some flowers. I've got some skeleton leaves here as well, and then I've labeled it hashtag RYJ1 Rock Your Journal 1 and in the year 21. And then with the strings that I'd got at the top, I've added some wooden beads on there. And this was some textured wrapping paper that I've got. This was some sari silk fabric, which just wraps around the back of the button to act as the closure. And this is my butterfly page so that I'm going to show you. This happens to be my favourite page, I have to say. So let's open it up, and there you go. There's my flying butterflies. So I'm going to show you in this video how I went about creating this page. I hope that you'll stay and watch how I did this, and I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration for yourself. I'll see you in a second and we'll make a start. Okay, so first things first. I need to stamp and punch out all of my butterflies that I want to utilise. Now, as I say, this piece that's going down the middle will then have strips of acetate going off it. So if I work on the premise that these acetate strips are going to be 1/2 inch wide, and my page is 8 inches long, I'm not going to do the whole 8 inches, so I'm going to do 7 inches. So that means that every 1/2 inch there's going to be a strip of acetate which will need a butterfly on it. So that makes 14 strips of acetate. So that means 14 butterflies. But I want one on the front and one on the back. So that means that I've got to do 28 butterflies and then some for having on the background page as well. Oh, blooming heck, that's a lot of butterflies. Okay. I've sorted out my Stampin' Up butterflies, which coordinates with my Stampin' Up punch. So it means that I can get both big and small butterflies out of it. And I'm going to use my basic grey Stampin' Up pad. So I've got those ready. And then I'm going to go through the infamous scrap bag and choose some papers. So I'm going to go and do that off camera, go sort through all of this, sort through some papers. Now if I'd got double-sided paper, then I'd only need 14 butterflies, because obviously it's got a pretty pattern on the front and on the back. But these tend to be single-sided papers, not double printed papers. So that's why I'm having to do 28. So yeah, so I'm going to go off and go and sort these out, stamp them up, punch them out, and then I'll be back. I'm just popping back to show you what I actually have decided. So I went through my scraps, and the odd one or two were kind of suitable, but I suddenly remembered I've got all of these that were shaving foam backgrounds that I was playing with, and some of them are a bit rubbish. Because it was coming to the end, the colours were starting to smush together and stuff. So even though it turned out rubbish, I'm going to create something pretty with it. These are perfect colours for the rest of the journal as well. So I'm going to use some of these, and I just wanted to show you one, excuse me, printed out or stamped out and then punched out. So it just goes to show that even though you look at something and you think, ugh, that's a rubbish background paper, you can still do something really pretty with it. So I put the put them in the punch, make sure it's all nicely aligned up. That little one always falls in there. I mean, look at that. Pretty. So as I say, even though something has turned out rubbish, you can still do lovely things with it. So this one's really pants. So let's just get some ink on the stamp. Stamp one off. Punch it out. And as well, different weights of card mean that some are going to be slightly heavier, so it'll make the acetate strips bend more rather than them just being all paper. So again, look at that, look how pretty is that. So don't throw away those bits of paper that you think are a bit rubbish. I'm going to carry on. I'm about halfway through. I'll see you in a bit. Now I'm at construction stage. So I've cut myself a strip of paper that is 3 inches wide and is the same height thereabouts as the actual page itself. And I've already pre-creased it on my scoreboard at 1/2 inch intervals. Okay, so it's going to fold in the middle, making a valley fold, and then I'm going to fold it back on itself and then fold that last one up. Okay, then I'm going to open that back out slightly, turn it over and do the same on the other side. So fold it up, fold it down, and then fold it up. And what we end up with there we go, is that. All right, so my strips of acetate are going to sit in this centre fold here, and then it will be glued together. This edge is then going to be glued to the back of that to give it some support, and then this outer edge here is going to stick to the page, so it'll look like that, and these open up here. Let's get that done. Let's get this first bit stuck in to the journal. So this first strip is going to stick down on the page right in the crease. Then I'm just going to open it out and glue the next piece and then sit the folded paper on top so that it glues one to the other. Okay, so those two folds there are now glued together. I'm then going to open it up and glue those two bits together. And then fold that last strip back and put glue on there, and that will stick to the other side of the page. for that, I'm going to close the book shut. So now when I open it back up, I've got these two here stuck to each side of the page, and then I've got these two are standing up away from the edge of the page so that I can insert the acetate strips into there. Now before I do that, I want to decorate this background page a bit, but I needed this in place before I could actually do that. So what I'm going to do is I only want a subtle background. So I'm going to use my stencil. And I'm going to do some leaves. But I'm going to do them quite lightly. Slightly stronger around the outside. And lighter in the middle. So I've done it slightly stronger around the outside, and then I'm just going to bring it in just slightly in towards the centre, but I'm only pressing really lightly to just bring the colour in and to make it then look as though it's fading out. Right. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, and so that's not too distracting from the beauty of the butterflies, and it sort of will bring it all together and look a little bit like a rainforest. So I'm going to go off and stencil this other side now, and then I'll come back and show you the rest. So what I used was the stencil of leaves, and it's called That Special Touch of Mica Masks, and the design is called Leaves. And I used my Stampin' Up pad, Old Olive ink. So that's what I used there. Now I've also pre-cut. Now I thought that this was originally a piece of acetate that I'd got, but it isn't. It's actually a laminating sheet, and it was the scrap bits that were left over. So if you haven't got any acetate, then you could actually use your laminating sheets. So I've cut these to 1/2 inch wide. Obviously the laminating sheets will need to have gone through the machine, because otherwise it's just a flippy flappy floppy kind of texture. So it'll need to go through the machine to make it solid. So I need to insert these in between that strip there. And I'm going to use some double-sided tape to just hold it in place for the time being. Right, so that's just to hold it. So it's not a strong enough glue to hold the whole thing, and I'm just going to lay these strips down. Now I originally worked out sort of, what did I say? I'd do 1/2 inch, 7 inches, 14 strips. I decided to have them a little bit further apart. And they're all the same length at the moment. And I'm not measuring, I'm just sticking them in. Okay, and then I've got some glossy accents, and I'm going to put some glossy accents down there on top of that strip. and stick the two together. Now at the moment they're all the same length, so what I'm going to do is just cut them down to various lengths. So I'm just going to trim off some of the excess pieces and just do varying lengths. So you might be able to now see that when I open the book up, they all spring up. Okay, and then I'm going to get my glossy accents again and stick my butterflies on the end of each of these strips. Now, I might, I might do some sideways. And I might do some at an angle. We'll see how it works out. And then I might do some horizontal, vertical, whichever way around. So it looks as though they're all flying off in different directions. Blue one. That one. Seem too similar. Use that one. Let's do that one. And one more. Oh, no, two more. We'll have you going off up there, and then we want one down there. Okay. So I need to leave these to all dry for a bit, but as you can see, look, if I lift them up, you can see that they're all floating off in different directions. But I need to just maybe turn that one round. So it's just catching a little. Yay! And then what I'll do is I'll flip them all over to this side and I'll see if any need to go on the back, and then I can always add some of the spare butterflies in and around the page. I might actually put a little bit of washi tape on there as well, or something similar. We'll see. I might use the little butterflies actually. Yeah, I might do that. So I'll come back and show you in a moment when it's all fully completed. So I stuck all my butterflies in place and I've added what was left over onto the page, both on both sides. The other thing that I did was I just kinked and pushed down the plastic a little and then pushed it back so that they stand separate from each other, so that they're all at different levels. So as you can see, this one is standing up more because I bent it this way. There's a couple that I bent that way, and it just means now that they're at different levels when I actually open the page up. I didn't want them to be a definite crease in the plastic, but just a hint of one, so that when I close my book up and open it up again, then all the butterflies are flying on the page itself. So I think I completed the prompt of make butterflies fly, and I hope that that's inspired you to have a go at maybe something along similar lines. So don't forget, Rock Your Journal 2 is starting on the 31st of March, where I'll be talking about the journal that you'll use and the cover and the process of it, of how it's going to work. So that's it for now. I haven't completed all my pages in here. I will show a final flip through of when it's all completed, but in the meantime I'll work on it as and when I can with the last few pages that I've got left to do. As I say, there were a few that in here that were fairly private, so I didn't want to share those. So I'll come back and show you another time, and don't forget to join us on the next Rock Your Journal. It's been really great fun. See you again really soon. Bye for now.